Hey guys, what we're going to talk about now is behavioral strategies to help with anxiety. Dr. Greenberger, in his book Mind Over Mood, talks about three self-help strategies. I went through two of them. The first one was a gratitude list. The second one was a thought record. And now the third one here is called an activity schedule. So it's before I get into it, it seems pretty simple. Before I get into it, I want to talk about a little bit of research associated with what he's talking about. Thought records are really good for people who have depression. Activity schedules are really good for people who have anxiety. This is what the research shows. Gratitude lists, apparently, I think, are good for people who, for both. They're equally found effective, gratitude lists. So the reasoning behind this is because anxious people, they have rigid thoughts. They have a very rigid thoughts, it's shown in research. And so changing their behaviors through activity schedules is found to be more effective than actually forcing them to come to terms with the fact that they have these rigid thoughts, because they won't be able to balance. If you remember in the last video, hot thoughts, they won't be able to balance that hot thought, right, with any sort of other evidence. So it works. I hope this is not coming as too complicated. This will kind of become more self-explanatory as this video goes on. So, the first line treatment for anxiety is basically to try to create strategies to manage your anxiety, so that hopefully it will help you to move towards the thing that that is making you anxious in the first place, right? And for people who have anxiety, there's like layers to anxiety. There's deep layer. For example, the surface could be bees, right? We've seen in many of my exposure videos a person who had a bee phobia. There's many layers to that, though, right? It can get very complex, especially people with anxiety tend to think a lot more. So it's not good to stay in that line of thinking, and this is how an activity schedule will help. By taking a sheet of paper, just like previously in our thought record, and this time we write down, so basically, activity schedule on the top, and then we divide it into, let's say about 8. So you have 8 columns. Okay, not 8 lines, you have 8 columns. In each one of those columns to the top, you write a header. The first header would be time. The second one would be, Monday, and the next one would be Tuesday, and so on and so forth. Okay? And in each, sub-column, for example, in time, you would write a specific time, for example, 6 to 7 a.m. Then you would go to the day that you're on. I guess it's best to start on Monday, right? You could start any day you want. Whatever you really like is flexible for you. I'll get into timings later. And then you would write what you are doing, or, basically, yeah. And you would write also your level of depression, right? Or your level, that's how he said it, level of depression, which is odd because he's giving this as a anxiety tool. So at that point, what I want to say is the level of that hot thought, the level of, anxiety. I would feel confident to say also the level of anxiety. You could transfer this over to anxiety because a lot of this has a degree of overlap, depression and anxiety. So, and then you basically do that. And so apparently, if I can just go over my notes here for a second, let's take a look here. Okay, so apparently this will help map out patterns where we will see, for example, when we're anxious or who we're anxious with, etc., etc. This is good for people who have anxiety. They have racing thoughts, or their thoughts tend to be very rigid. This is what Greenberger is saying. When the thoughts become very rigid, you can't be able to actually do a thought record. You'll be like, for me, as I said, they're very daunting at first. I'm only now, after a very, very long period of time, understanding what thought records are. And even now, I still don't really know a lot about them. You know, like it's just very, very hard to. They make you feel uneasy sometimes. I guess what I'm trying to say is also, people who have anxiety, like me, I had this. I still have. I battle with it on a daily basis. Choking anxiety, right? The specific phobia. So if someone else was to do a thought record and my thought would be I'm going to choke on food, I would find no evidence that I'm not going to choke on that food. So it's better to actually do an activity schedule where you do your day and you write, you know, you're anxious this time and that time, or you're depressed this time or that time. I would start with depression because that's what Greenberger's saying, and obviously this, you know, I would take this as good advice. I'm not going to say it's not good advice. The only caveat I would give is I'm basing this all off a video on YouTube based on his book. So the video is taught by the author, Dr. Greenberger. So I haven't seen the whole video. I basically watched bits of it and take notes and then basically go on and to the YouTube and share it with you guys. So if there's more to this, I'll let you guys know. It seems fairly self-explanatory though. You just, you know, let's see if I can do, he gave an example. Let's see if I can do one now. So it's, we write time, right? And then the day is Monday. And you want to make it fairly big so you can have every day. Tuesday, right? Wednesday, Saturday. Okay. I kind of made it a bit small. Okay. It's something I want to do though. So I'll do it here now. So today, it's what? Like, I think it's, hey Google, what time is it?
It's 9:20.
Okay, so it's 9:20. So let's start at 6 though, because that's when Greenberger started. I guess that's well, I woke up today around 6. I don't know exactly, like 6. I want to say actually closer to like 5:30. And I was basically watching Star Trek. I woke up and I watched Star Trek. I just woke up and I was like, actually no, the first thing I did was actually pray. I said like a dua. I said a dua, which is like a I said أعوذ بك الرحمة من غضب وأكبه والشر أباده ونزعات الشيطان ويحضر لا إله إلا هو الواحد وقهر رب السماوات والأرض وبينهما العزيز الغفور. In Arabic, it's like a prophetic dua, basically handed down from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe it means, you know, I seek refuge in, you know, the tauntings of the devil and in his, you know, ensnares, and, you know, I take hold of and basically then I say La ilaha illallah. I have a translation. You know what? I'm kind of interested in this too, because why not? I'm going to check out the translation. 1 second, real quick. I have it somewhere here. If I can't find it real quick, I'll just it'll stop. Actually, you know what? No. I'm going to give myself a second fully. Oh, it's a book called Fortress of the Muslim. And there you go. It's this is not the right. There's 2 books. This is odd. See, I don't put all my books. It's very small book. Fairly small. Let's see. Fairly small book. Quite odd. Oh, here it is. I'm back. Okay. So, sorry guys, it took a little while. It is here though. So I can find it. The translation, here it is. أعوذ بك الهمة من الغضب وأكبه والشر أباده ونزعات الشيطان ويحذرهن. That's the first part of it, which basically in translation means I seek refuge in the perfect words of Allah from his anger and his punishment, from the evil of his slaves, and from the taunts of devils, and from their presence and their presence. So you understand what I'm saying? It's basically a dua to ward off evil. And then then I would watch Star Trek. So say that would take like less than like a minute, let's say 5:31. Watch Star Trek. right? And for the example, the first one, you write, how depressed were you feeling? And this is where I want to get into like the strategies of when to do it, because for me it's hard to do it now. For me, someone who's rigid and also has OCPD, it would be really helpful to kind of map out. I don't know if a week, a week is a lot. I want to try it, okay. I don't think it's gonna work though. What I'm really gonna do. I think the best strategy to do this is at the end of each day, right, to do what you did, or quickly have it pre-made, and then when you're doing something, write down the activity and the percentage. I think that's the best way. Have a table, right? So write it out like this, time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, with the lines going down, and then whenever you're fold it so it's smaller. You can put it in your pocket. And then whenever you're doing something and you notice that this is an activity, right? I guess you could call it a distinct activity. You want to leave lots of room, right? I might even just have a whole page for each day. That might even be better. It depends how you want to do it. For a page for each day. I know that's kind of like a lot more to lug around. Give it a shot. And then write what you're doing, like talk with, person, go to work. There's many examples. Spend time with loved one, watch TV, lay in bed. And just write your level of depression. That's fairly simple what an activity schedule is. And last thing I want to end off with is, this is a direct quote from Dr. Greenberger. What many people discover is that when they're active and when they're doing things that they enjoy, or doing things that are meaningful, or give them a sense of competence or mastery, they are likely to feel better. Right? So basically, you remember the four things, the cognitions, thoughts, behaviors, moods, all that. If we change one of those, the other ones will begin to change. They'll be affected. And in the previous activity, which is thought records, we're trying to change the thoughts. Right? Thoughts, moods, is like thoughts, moods, behaviors, and thoughts, moods, behaviors, and feelings, right? Something like that. Thoughts, moods, behaviors, and you know what it is, the ABCD thing we talked about. Thoughts, moods, behaviors, and I wrote it down here somewhere. Thoughts, moods, behaviors, and I guess you could say thoughts, moods, behaviors. I forget the last one. We'll go back in my video. It's basically thoughts. Thoughts, moods, behaviors, and basically like physical functioning, right? Like eating, sleeping. Well, if you change one of those, the other three will be effective. That's the model we're going on. With the last video, we're doing it with our thoughts. With this one, we're doing it with our behaviors. For people who have trouble with anxiety, they want to change their behaviors. For people who have trouble with depression, they want to change their thoughts. So this is basically the video today. I think it's really self-explanatory. I mean, not much else could share with you guys today. So tomorrow, let's give me another video, another exposure, and more talking about Dr. Greenberger. I mean, he changed my life in terms of, helping me look at my thoughts in a more balanced way, in a less unbiased way. These strategies do help, and there is a real reason that over 200 million, 300 million, I think, copies have been sold of his book. Go out and get it. I mean, I can't give you. I mean, I haven't read it. I have it on my phone, and I intend to read it, and it's really, really important. A lot of CBT, all the books you pick up about CBT are basically gonna cite this book. I've seen this book cited in a lot of books, in a lot of discussions, in a lot of discourses. I mean, I haven't read a lot. I could see what he's saying being discussed in a lot of different sources. I mean, he's probably been recited a lot, because it seems like a lot of his stuff is original research. He's basically the one that I think came up with this stuff. So All right, let's end it here. And yeah, the anxiety level of choking, was a 0, and it was a bit difficult because what I tend to do now with my behaviors. I want to talk about a couple things when I do my behaviors. Before I end, one of the things I do with my behaviors now when I eat is I tend to eat and then I put too much in my mouth and then I chew it. And I wouldn't fear choking. I would actually just puke it out. Not puke it out, just kind of like think I'm gonna puke, and then because when the food gets to like the back of your mouth, it's also dealing with your saliva, and there's a different smell back there because the food tasted different on the plate. Now it's in the mouth, moved around, mashed in smaller pieces, and there's also now saliva working with it, plus any previous food you may or may not have eaten. So it's just a whole cluster of different things for me that I didn't like. So I'm working towards kind of like eating less, like kind of looking and seeing, okay, I'm gonna eat this, and it's not too big, and I'm trying to eat like smaller bites, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I end up just bleh. It's very hard to explain. I just try to explain it. And one more behavior I realize now is that I don't the word but, I don't give it any credit anymore or any more due consideration. So if, for example, I'm reading something like a book and there's the word but in it, I would just read what is before it and then read what is after it. I would ignore the but. This is also in thinking. Well, in thinking, I try not to say but. And in conversing, the same thing. If I'm having a conversation with somebody and they're saying something, if I hear the word but, I'll basically only listen to what they're saying before and after. And I'll to a certain extent, when I'm talking to them, depending on my trust level with them, I'll believe that. But when they say but, they're basically saying, ignore what I just said, and this is what I actually mean. So I'm not a big fan of but. I don't use but. These are just some behaviors I think I've learned as a part of. These are some behaviors that are kind of like. Okay, these are some behaviors that, through mindfulness and exposure therapy and learning more about therapy, I've kind of like want to share with you guys, because I've realized they're like things that have changed in me, right? Remember before, thoughts, behaviors, cognitions, and external stimuli, right? You know what I mean? I'm changing some of them, and other things are happening. So okay, I end it here. Yeah, that's probably the most important part about the CBT, is you got to trust the model. The CBT model is that your thoughts, moods, external stimuli, and behaviors are all related. So, for example, I changed my behaviors. I started doing exposures. That led to different not obviously different moods and different it led to different moods, and different it led to different moods, and it led to different behaviors as well, right? From before not doing an exposure to doing an exposure, and also to different thoughts of right, I'm gonna choke, to the feeling's overblown, to right. So that's very important. It's very, very important. I wanted to put that, share that with you guys. That's it. I think I don't have anything else to say. I don't really have a plan today. I don't have any. I get paid tomorrow. I don't really have any gas. I'm basically broke till tomorrow. It sucks. I mean, I get paid at 5 a.m., so at least that's a good thing. I honestly had nothing to do today. I honestly had absolutely nothing to do today. And it's been like this for the past 2 days. Like, yesterday, same thing. I had nothing to do because, same thing. I basically ran out of gas, and therefore I ran out of money. I also ran out of money. So I can't work. And so I just literally have to just wait for my paycheck to come in before I can start working again, which is so awkward because you're stuck here and you don't really have anything to do. I mean, you don't even have money either, so you can't do it. I don't know if I'm going to play Xbox or I don't know, probably. I have no idea what I'm gonna do after I end this video. I'm gonna be pretty bored. Literally, I don't know. So, okay. End it here. And remember, guys, stay with it.